reading an email from a New York Times and Pulitzer Prize-winning author and entrepreneur, Steven Kotler, where he shared this story. There's a scene in the film Lawrence of Arabia where Lawrence puts out a lit match between his fingers. One of his friends, a man named William Potter, tries the same trick and he burns his fingers. That hurts, he said, and then he asks, so what's the trick then? Lawrence responds, the trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts. You know, the more I think about this, it hits me that there's a huge amount of wisdom in this line. It reminds me of a phrase that's been floating around the webiverse. You can change the world or you can look at your phone, but you can't do both. Now, if you want to achieve true mastery at anything, it requires repetition. And the key is to know that it will hurt, but not minding that it will. And in his email, Steven, also the founder and executive director of the Flow Research Collective, mentions this, that it demands the opposite of the saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We've all heard that quote, right? Well, he and I would argue that the definition of insanity might be correct, but trying to achieve true mastery actually requires the ability to do the same thing over and over. That is the only path to getting a different result. Is the effort a grind? Can it be dull? Do I sometimes find myself stuck trying to write the next chapters of my upcoming Sales Master book, or even just write next week's episodes of these quick hits? So what's the trick? Well, as Lawrence said, the trick is not minding that it hurts, but there's a second part to the trick, the critical detail that often gets left out. The secret to not minding is flow. Flow is when attention gets so fully absorbed in the task at hand that the work stops feeling like work. Time doesn't drag. Self-doubt goes quiet. The rock stops feeling like something you're pushing uphill and starts feeling like something that's pulling you along for the ride. It may start as a grind, but as I have found, it takes on a life of its own. And eventually you see the original grind becomes a faint memory of the past, and then you focus on the momentum of the ride and the progress that you've gained. I've mentioned this in previous episodes as being in the zone. I'm so grateful to have participated in Steven Kotler's course, Zero to Dangerous, during COVID, where he deciphers the key to tapping into a flow state. But one of the key messages that sticks with me almost daily is this. Just when you feel like you're encountering the most resistance or difficulty, that is when you're about to break through into the flow state. And most people give up right before that. That true breakthrough that will make the struggle disappear, and then the things you felt as burdensome become a welcome stepping stone to a goal that you not only visualize, but you really start to feel. It's not theory, it's actually neuroscience, and it works. I've personally experienced it over and over myself. I mean, think of Andy Dufresne and the Shawshank Redemption. How long did it take him to scrape through that prison wall with the rock hammer? How many years? But he never stopped, and eventually he found freedom. Repetition is the mother of skill, and that repetition breeds true mastery. Repetition without flow can feel like punishment, but repetition with flow feels like play. Remember one of the fundamental keys to balancing your wheel of life? So go do it now. What are the top 3 things from the Wheel of Life episodes that you need to put laser focus on, and write them down? Then write down what has kept you from focusing on them in the past. Then write down what is my strategy to keep myself from losing focus on them again. Then create visual reminders for each of these. Once they disappear from your line of sight and focus, there's a small chance of success. So how do you get in the zone to keep this front of mind? Why is this important? Well, where focus goes, energy flows. Flow feels effortless. Flow creates momentum. And momentum gained through repetition is the opposite of the key to insanity. It's the key to success and getting everything you want in your sales career or in life. So go take action, keep the customer first, and go dominate your floor. I look forward to serving you in the Auto Dojo soon. To receive future episodes of the Auto Dojo Quick Hits every week, please either click the button below or scan the QR code, and we look forward to seeing you in the Auto Dojo soon.